ॐ वागीशात्या स्वमनसः सर्वार्थानामुपक्रमे यं नत्वा कृतकृत्या स्युः तं नमामि गजाननम् पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितं भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितं पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्ददामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीं मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां योगिनं विश्वनाथाख्यम् अस्मत्तातस्वरूपिणम् आत्मलाभात् परं लाभं वक्तारं न कदाचन गीतार्थग्रन्थकर्तारं श्रीगुरुं प्रणमाम्यहं योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मे वाचं धृतिं बुद्धिं प्रचोदयात् ॐ नमः सभापतिभ्यश्च वो नमः ॐ We are in the third chapter. We have just finished shloka number 26. In the third chapter, Krishna started talking about how two nishthas, two regiments are there from earliest times. One is Jnana Yoga and the other is Karma Yoga. But without starting any karma, any action, one cannot think of Sannyasa Yoga, Sanyasanadeva Siddhim Samadhigacchati. Nobody can sit inactive even for a little time, even for a kshanam. But the one who controls his external indriya senses but keeps thinking about the sense objects, that is only a hypocritical type of silence or sannyasa. Therefore, you have to do whatever is prescribed to you, because even the very journey of life is needs action, but that action has to be done in the yajna way. This is the contribution of the Gita to the entire philosophical world. Yajna arthat karmano nyatra loko yam karma bandhana, shloka 9. So every action has to be done as yajna. Yajna was the one which even Brahma started at the time of creation, and he goes on describing the cosmic ecology between the divine world and the human world. And though it looks a little religious and traditional, there is a profound truth behind it, as we saw already. This ecology should not be stopped at all. By trying to stop it, we are only wasting our life. And then he said, such a type of yajna, type of work will lead you to a complete assimilation of the Absolute into yourself. And such a person, an enlightened man, thereafter has nothing more to do. Atmanyevacha santushtaha. He will be totally satisfied with his own self. Atman. For him, there is nothing more to be done, because there is nothing to be obtained. Therefore, do your actions in a detached way. All great people from Janaka downwards, all of them have obtained siddhi, reached their goal only by doing action. Whatever the great man does, all the other people follow. Look at me, Arjuna. I am also always engaged in action, because if I am not engaged in action, the world also will go lazy and the world will end up in a total state of confusion. I will be the cause of that confusion. Sankarasya cha kartasyam, shloka 24. Therefore, between the attached person, that is people who do work in an attached way, with attachment. The majority of people do it that way. And the few people, the sages, the great people who do things in an unattached way, detached way, between them externally there is no difference. It is all a difference in terms of attitude. Therefore, do not confuse the ignorant man from his own beliefs, though they may look though they may look very simplistic and contrary to the philosophical concepts. And that is where we left in shloka number 26. At this point, Krishna begins a profound discussion on the inner content of Advaita philosophy, because he needs it for the further progress in the Gita Upadesha. This is about Prakriti. I will tell you what is Prakriti very soon, but let us read that shloka number 27. We are going to be dwelling on the shloka number 27, the whole lecture today, because it contains such a profound truth, and we are going to need the concept of Prakriti, explain the concept of Prakriti very elaborately. Shloka 27. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaham ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. The Sanskrit meaning, Sanskrit to English meaning is not very difficult. Prakritehe gunaihi kriyamanani karmani sarvashaha. Karmani, all actions. Prakritehe gunaihi, the modes, the constituents of Prakriti. I told you I will tell you about Prakriti very soon. The general meaning, the broad meaning of Prakriti is nature with a capital N. But we will come to that. It's not as simple as that. Prakritehe gunaihi, the constituents, the gunas, the modes, constituent, mode, these are standard meanings of guna, which I see in the English commentators from Radhakrishnan downwards, but guna has to be understood very carefully. Prakritehe gunaihi, it is the gunas of Prakriti, it is the constituents of Prakriti, it is the modes of Prakriti that do all the actions. Prakritehe kriyamanani gunaihi karmani sarvashaha. Sarvashaha, by all means, in all manner, all the time. Sarvashaha. Ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. Ahankara vimudhatma. Ahankara, ego. We will suppose that we know what is ego. Ahankara vimudhatma. The one who is confused, who is overwhelmed, right? Who is confounded by his ego. Ahankara vimudhatma. He is totally confused because of his, he has been overpowered by his own ego. Such a person, karta aham iti manyate. Aham karta, I am the doer. Karta means doer. Who does actions? Who is the doer? It's a major question that runs as an undercurrent throughout the Gita, and we have to know the answer very carefully. Aham karta iti manyate. The confused person, the egoistic person, the person who is overwhelmed by the ego, he thinks that I am the doer of everything. But who is the doer here? The final answer to the question, who is the doer, is going to come in the 18th chapter. But right now he hints at it. Prakritehe kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha. All actions are by doing or being done by the gunas, the constituents of the Prakriti. So many questions arise now. I will take you to a chart which I will explain, through which I will try to explain the Prakriti and all its constituents and various other things that arise from this shloka. What is Prakriti? Prakriti is the Shakti. Prakriti is the Shakti, is the energy, is the power of the Lord. Prakriti is the power of the Lord. But Prakriti when I say Shakti, I have to distinguish between two Shaktis, two kinds of Prakriti. Brahman, as you see in the chart, Brahman, which is at the top, also referred to as Parabrahman, Supreme Transcendental Absolute. From that arises the supreme energy associated with Brahman, and that is Parashakti. What is Parashakti? Supreme energy associated with Brahman, as you see from that in that chart. But from this Parashakti, there is another Aparashakti, that is not so supreme energy, that is the Prakriti, which is referred to here in this shloka. Prakriti. Prakriti is also called Maya in some contexts. Pradhanam, because it is fundamental. Because, you see, in the 7th chapter, I think in the 4th shloka or so, 7th chapter, at the full meaning of Prakriti and all the ramifications about Prakriti will come only as we go along throughout the Gita. But I am not going to make you wait till we end the Gita, because we are all in a hurry to learn things. So, in the 7th shloka, 7th adhyaya of the Gita, in the 4th shloka, 7-4, chapter 7, shloka 4, Bhumira apo nalo vayu khammano buddhirevache ahankara yitiyam me bhinna prakriti rashtada. So what is Prakriti? He defines it there. Bhumihi apaha analaha vayuhu kham manaha buddhihi ahankaraha. 8. And in English, earth, water, fire, air, akasha, space, manas, mind, buddhi, intellect, ahankara, mind, intellect and ego. All these 8 are the various facets. Bhinna Prakriti Rashtada. Prakriti is divided, not divided. That Prakriti is spoken of in these 8 facets. Bhumira apo nalo. So he says that there. This is the Prakriti. This is the Aparashakti. That is when I just now told you, not so supreme. As you see in the chart, Advaitic cosmology chart, you see there is a Parashakti, there is an Aparashakti. The Aparashakti, Apara Prakriti I described just now, and that is also called Maya, also called Pradhanam, also called Avidya, also called Avyaktam, also called Jadam because it is inert, Avyaktam because it is unmanifest, the things are not known, Ksharam because it is perishable, Kshetram because it is the field of all of our actions. The entire world of matter, is Prakriti. So do not think my every small explanation of Prakriti immediately completes the explanation. No. The complete explanation of Prakriti will come as we go along. So slowly, each one is only an incomplete explanation of Prakriti, but slowly try to absorb each one of them carefully. So that is matter. The entire world of matter is Prakriti. Right? This is Apara Prakriti. What is Apara Prakriti? This is the so-called lower, inferior Prakriti. There is a Para Prakriti. As you see on the left there, there is the Para Prakriti. On the right there is the Apara Prakriti. Apara Prakriti comes from Para Prakriti. Parashakti. When you say Parashakti, you will understand easily. Parashakti is Goddess, is the Lord, is the supreme energy associated with Brahman. It is the Chit Shakti. It is the power of cognition, pure consciousness, pure spirit. That is Parashakti. From that, a fragment of it is the Aparashakti, the entire matter. Remember, Parashakti is the supreme energy. Aparashakti is matter. Matter comes from energy. This is different from our modern physics. Modern physics and Vedanta are two different things here. That is, in modern physics, energy comes from matter, from the movement of matter or whatever. I am not getting into it. But here, matter comes from energy is fundamental, matter comes later. Energy is fundamental, Parashakti is fundamental. And a tiny fragment of that Parashakti, as you go further down in that Advaita cosmology chart, you will see the tiny fragment of that Parashakti is called Jiva, which is the spark in each one of us. It is another tiny fragment of that is Ishvara, the personal Ishvara, the Saguna Brahman. Saguna Brahman. You see, the Brahman conditioned by our intellect. So then, this is, at present, this is the Prakriti. But what is the Prakriti that is mentioned here in this shloka? Prakriti, where is this shlokam? Prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha. So Prakriti guna, the matter, Prakriti, I told you Bhumi Rapo Nalo Vayu, earth, fire, etc. But before that it was even in a more subtle state. Those subtle state are Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Sattva is one aspect of the subtle Prakriti. Rajas is the other aspect of the subtle Prakriti, and Tamas is the third aspect of the subtle Prakriti. You ordinarily, whatever meaning you know about Sattva, the noble qualities, etc., quality, that is Sattva. So we are going to discuss elaborately about Sattva, Rajas, Tamas in a later chapter in the Gita. But right now, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas are three facets of the subtle Prakriti. That is cosmic Prakriti. All this is cosmic. But in this shloka, Prakriti kriyamanani. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, the shloka is a little, though appears to be simple, it has very profound truth. Therefore, the explanation has to be followed very carefully. Now, Prakriti is the cosmic Prakriti I just now described. But what is hinted here is Prakriteje kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha. Whatever actions I do, they are because of my Prakriti. What do you mean by my Prakriti? My Prakriti is different from your Prakriti, his Prakriti, her Prakriti. Which means there is a customized, individualized Prakriti. What does it mean? What is that? Shankara gives the explanation. Beautiful explanation. You see, Purvakrita dharma dharmadi samskaraha vartamana janmadau abhivyaktihi. Purvakrita, in past times, whatever you have done, dharma dharmadi, you might have done good things, you might have done dharmas, you might have done adharmas, good things and bad things. You might have thought about them also. Purvakrita dharma dharmadi samskara. Out of that vasanas, the impressions are stored in the mind. Of them, vartamana janmadau, in the present janma, in the present birth, in the present life, they manifest. Abhivyaktihi. That is your Prakriti. So your Prakriti is certainly different from another man's Prakriti. Each man has an individualized Prakriti. This individualized Prakriti is, of course, a tiny fragment of the entire cosmic Prakriti. Because cosmic Prakriti is all matter. So everything that we do, everything that we think, everything that you can think of physically, mentally, certainly whatever, that is all part of that cosmic Prakriti. So we are talking about the individualized Prakriti. That individualized Prakriti, its Sattva, its Rajas, its Tamas, these three Gunai, they are the constituents. They do the work. You see, when I go after something, when I like something, when I dislike something, when I want something, it is because of the vasanas or the impressions that are imprinted in my mind. So that is my Prakriti. Each one has a different prakriti. So this work is done by this individualized prakriti. Now there are other parts here in this Advaitic cosmology chart. We will come to that again. These two charts which I am showing to you today will be referred to again and again throughout our Gita lessons. We will now go to the another chart called the self chart. Self chart. This is also an important chart which you are going to keep until the Gita session, Gita series ends. The self, I, the self, as per Advaita. You see there 4 columns. I hope you are able to see the 4 columns. 4 columns. 4 columns are entitled oneself, single word, oneself. Second column is one's self. That self is a small self with small s. One's self. The third column is called one's capital self. That one's itself is in brackets, I will tell you why. Fourth column is titled the self. So there are 4. I am not doing anything here on my own. I am going back to I told you I will take help from the various later chapters of the Gita, and in the 15th chapter, the last but one shloka or something like that has this beautiful statement, very difficult statement, Dvavimau Purushau Loke. 15th chapter, shloka number 16. Dvavimau Purushau Loke. Ksharascha ksharayevachem ksharas sarvani bhutani kutastho kshara uchyate. There are 2 purushas, 2 selves in this world. One is a kshara self, another is an akshara self. Kshara means perishable, akshara means imperishable. There is a perishable self, there is an imperishable self. More than that I am not taking now. That is the point I am taking here. So here, come back to the self chart. The leftmost, as we see, the leftmost column is oneself. What is that oneself? Myself, yourself. That is, in Sanskrit it is Swayam. It is the external self. Body, mind, intellect. I am clubbing all of them together, BMI. The entire BMI is the mind with all its thinking. You know, in the Taittiriya Upanishad and other elementary Vedanta classes, you are taught that the body has 5 koshas. Annamaya kosha, Pranamaya kosha, Manomaya kosha, Vijnanamaya kosha, Anandamaya kosha, and beyond that there is the Brahman, that is the Atman. It says all these 5 koshas, 5 sheaths, I have clubbed into one because for the purpose of this discussion, that division is not important. So, when I say oneself, myself, I am including all the body, mind and intellect with all its ramifications. So, that is myself. Next is the self which is within me. The English people call it the soul. I don't like the translation of the word soul. It is the correct meaning, correct Sanskrit word is Jiva. Jiva. Also called Kshara Purusha. In that 15th chapter, I just told you there are 2 Purushas, Kshara Purusha, Akshara Purusha. Kshara is the perishable Purusha, this is the perishable Purusha, Jiva. It is sometimes called the outer self, also called the lower self. This is the one, follow me carefully, this is the one which travels from body to body. This is the one to which clings all the vasanas. You see, we get a lot of impressions, right? Impressions are stored in the mind. The mind has 2 things. One is the total memory, which is in the brain. But there is a thing called vasana, impressions, imprints, latent imprints. So these are called vasanas. They cling to this jiva and go along with it to the next janma. You see, the next janma takes the same mind, but not the entire mind. The mind leaves the memories. That is why we don't remember our past janma. Of course, God forbid, if we remember the past janma, there will be hell to pay, because we don't know how many wives, how many husbands, how many daughters, how many sons we might have, how many friends, how many enemies. So that way we should not remember at all, thank goodness. So we have only the vasanas, the impressions. If I had always like to do a certain thing in a certain way, that impression stays with me in the next janma also. So to the jiva clings all the vasanas and the balance of karma. You see, I have done a lot of karma in the past. That balance of karma that has to be experienced clings to the jiva. So this is the jiva thing. Third column. Remember, we are still on the context of Prakriti. I told you Prakriti is the individualized Prakriti that is referred to here. I am trying to tell you now the explanation of the individualized Prakriti. What is the individualized Prakriti? My vasanas that I have brought from all my previous janmas. It clings to the jiva and goes to the next birth and so on. So it is in that context I am explaining the self. This self chart I will not be explaining in full today, but it will be necessary. So, this Prakriti, which is the baggage, I am using Chinmayananda's language, baggage. We carry this baggage, this luggage from Janma to Janma. So, this is taken from this self, this body, to the next body. On the other hand, inside there is an imperishable self, which is the Atman, also called Akshara Purusha, imperishable Purusha. This is what is mentioned as Tvam, Aham Brahmasmi. It is that self, not the outer self. So this is, so you see now, it is the Prakriti that is, when we say that the Prakriti that is doing things, Prakriti has the baggage of vasanas that I have brought. That is my Prakriti. It is that through its sattva character, through its rajas character, through its tamas character, monitors, motivates all my actions. What is the tamas character? It is a dull ease, laziness. What is the rajas character? Strong. It's like blowing, we are blown by the strong winds of rajas. And what is the sattva character? Showing lights, partial lights of sattva that limits our mind. You see, we are ignorant, we are bewildered by ahankara, and that is why we think that we are doing all these actions. But who is doing the actions? This Prakriti is doing these actions. Now, still I have not explained how Prakriti is doing the actions and why I am saying I am doing my actions. For that, in the self chart, go down below, go down. I have made identifications. You see, there is a wrong identification, there is a right identification. It is the jiva that makes the identification. Jiva identifies itself with body, mind, intellect. Jiva identifies itself with body, mind, intellect. That is leftmost. Jiva is the second column that identifies with the body, mind, intellect. Jiva also can identify with the real self on the third column. In the third column. So one is a wrong identification, the other is a correct identification. Now, when we wrongly identify ourselves, when I say I identify, it is the jiva that identifies. Jiva, remember, is a fragment of the absolute. Jiva is a fragment of the absolute. This point is mentioned in, I think, the 13th adhyaya. Yes, 13th adhyaya. No, not the 13th adhyaya. Somewhere else. Jivabhutam Mahabaho Yedham Darjate Jagat, or it says, yes, Mamayvamsho Jivaloke, that is Jivabhutas Sanatanaham, 15th Adhyaya, 7th Shloka. Mamayvamshe Jivaloka, my fragment is coming as Jiva. It, along with the Manas and Indriya, there are 6 of them, they are all situated in Prakriti, because Manas is inert, mind is inert, it is part of Prakriti, part of the cosmic Prakriti, right? So the Manas and the Indriyas are sitting in Prakriti, it draws, is Shashtani, Indriyani, Prakriti Sthani Karshati. This is 15th chapter, 7th shloka. So then, Prakritehe kriyamānāni gunaih karmāni sarvashah ahankara vimūdhatma kartaham iti manyate. So now, follow me now. Jiva is there. It has 2 options. It can identify itself with the body, mind, intellect. It can identify itself with the inner self. When it identifies itself with the body, mind, intellect, what happens? That is where actually whatever is done by the body, mind, intellect, it is the body, mind, intellect that are doing things. And the Jiva, because it has identified itself with body, mind, intellect, it says, I am doing it. Well, it's time for me to give you almost a trivial example. Look at this trivial example. Somebody pinches me. Somebody pinches me. I feel the pain. Wait. Who feels the pain? Who feels the pain? When I say I feel the pain, this I, who is this I? Actually, the body feels the pain. But why am I saying I feel the pain? I am not the body. But the unfortunate thing is, historically, from time immemorial, the human frame has identified itself, human personality has identified itself by a kind of a colossal ignorance, beginningless ignorance. We don't know how this started. It has identified itself with the body. I am the body. Therefore, when the body feels the pain, I am saying I am feeling the pain. My mind feels the pain. My body feels the pain. I should have said that. I didn't want to say that. I am saying I feel the pain. Not only that, I flare up against the one who pinched up. Why do I flare up? Because of my identification with the body, mind, intellect. That is why, in the same way, when the body, mind, intellect does things, I say I am doing it. Why does the body, mind, intellect do things? Because of there is a Shakti. There is a Shakti injected into it. The body, mind, intellect by itself cannot do anything. Body is inert, mind is inert, intellect is inert. Then who makes it? The Jiva Shakti. Jiva Bhutam Mahabhaho. So the Lord has put this spark in this body, in this mind, in this intellect. It is that spark which makes it. Right? So I think I am the Karta. So far I have given you the direct, simple meaning of this shloka. But whenever I have taught this shloka, over the years, I have seen several people asking very fundamental questions from this. It raises several questions in the minds of the listeners. So I am going to repeat to you those questions and try to answer them. Some of the answers I have already given, but now you will see them in the context of those questions. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashah ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. The very first question that is asked is, sir, what is Prakriti? Tell us clearly. There are two connotations in which Prakriti is used in the Gita. In this shloka, the individualized Prakriti, not the cosmic Prakriti, not that nature. It is the individualized Prakriti created by all our past tendencies that arose from our own thoughts and actions. That is what is mentioned here in this Prakriti. So this is what I call my Prakriti, individualized, customized, because of our thoughts and actions. This is the Prakriti. What exactly is the Jiva is the next question. What exactly? Actually, the answer cannot be given in one sentence like that, but still, I will try. Jiva is the individualized life principle for each one of us. We have a life principle, right? Individualized, my Jiva. From the transactional point of view, my Jiva is different from your Jiva. So, at the end of Vedanta, we are going to say, all this is Brahman. Wait. Don't bring that here. You see, do not bring the absolute point of view, mix the absolute point of view with the transactional point of view. It's a common mistake that everybody, any beginning seeker in Advaita makes. So, Jiva is the individualized life principle. Next question, number 3. What is it that takes the vasanas to the next life? The vasanas of the mind, I said, they are taking to the next life. The vasanas actually stick to the mind. This is the vasana bundle. But the mind without the memory part, the memory stays in the brain and goes to garbage at the death. So, that is physical. But the vasana bundle, which stays in the mind, travels with the Jiva to the next birth of the Jiva. Jiva goes from body to body. Jiva has the next birth. The vasana bundle goes along with that. Understand this clearly. Then only you will understand the Hindu philosophy fully. The vasana bundle goes from birth to birth through the mind, which sticks to the Jiva. Jiva travels. As soon as I said this, the next question is, does Jiva go with the mind or mind goes with the Jiva? Which travels? It's the Jiva that travels. Jiva takes the vasana bundle of the mind along with its journey. Next question, number 5. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasaham. It is the Prakriti that is doing everything. The wrong man, the egoistic man, falsely thinks that he is the doer. That is what this shloka says. So the question, if Prakriti is the doer, then why are we held responsible for the actions? You see, Prakriti is not a third person. This shloka simply says that it is our swabhava. Prakriti, I told you, is the individualized swabhava. What is the individualized swabhava? All my past actions, vasanas, have been stored in my mind. That gives a character to me. That is my swabhava. That is the swabhava that prompts all my actions. So though the BMI does that, the prompting is done by my swabhava. So on the ultimate analysis, you have to transcend your swabhava, releasing yourself from your BMI. How to do this? What are the difficulties in doing that? We will we will see it as we go along. In this chapter itself, shloka number 33 will give you a little more clarity on this matter. Next question. Sir, you are only using Prakriti as an alibi for all our faulty actions. Is Prakriti only an alibi for all our faulty actions? No, not at all. Not at all. Prakriti is not any third person. It is only our own nature. This Prakriti that I am talking about is only my own nature. as far as this shloka is concerned. Prakriti in another shloka will be the cosmic Prakriti. Here we are not talking of the cosmic Prakriti. So there is no question of using it as an alibi. It is my own nature. Our nature is not a third person to us. So there is no third person. Next question. Is Prakriti inert or sentient? You were saying Prakriti is doing. Is Prakriti inert or sentient? Tell me. Prakriti is inert. By itself it cannot act. God's Shakti or energy has to be infused into it for it to act. Shloka 9-10 is going to talk about this. Mayadhyakshena prakritihi suyate sacharacharam hetuna anena kaunteye jagad viparivartate. I am the supervisor of all this. Mayadhyakshena. By that Prakriti revolves. Suyate. The entire world revolves. The Prakriti revolves. So Mayadhyakshena says the Lord. So we are going to see it there. So God's Shakti or energy has to be infused into Prakriti to make it act. Our individualized Prakriti prompts our actions. Individualized Prakriti prompts our actions because of the proximity of the Absolute within us makes it act. Slowly. It's a really fundamental thought which is used very often in Vedanta, in Advaita Vedanta. You see, there is a red flower. There is a crystal. The red flower is placed near the crystal. Crystal is white. The red flower is placed near the crystal. Now how does the crystal look? Crystal looks red. So where is the redness coming into the crystal? From the red flower. Why is it coming? Because of the proximity to the flower of the crystal. So also, you see, within ourselves is around English, because there is no within, there is no outside. The Absolute Lord is there. The proximity of the Absolute to this body makes it act. Without the presence of that Absolute, the body cannot act. The body will be dead if that thing is there. So, just as the red flower by its proximity to the white crystal gives the red colored appearance to the crystal, so also the proximity of the Absolute makes the Prakriti in us act, though it is inert. Again the next question, almost a similar question. If Prakriti is inert, then how can it be the doer? Who told you Prakriti is the doer? Sir, you just now told me. No. Prakriti is considered to be the doer only in a figurative sense. In the sense of its being our own nature and thus being a cause for all our actions. You see, our own nature is the cause for all our actions. So I am saying, I am not doing it. It is my nature that causes me do that. You understand? It is my nature, my own nature. Not the capital nature, the cosmic Prakriti. My own nature which I brought for myself, by myself, from all my previous births. So that is why it is called the doer in that figurative sense. Prakriti is not doing it as if it is a machine. No. Prakriti is the swabhava, is my swabhava. That makes me do things because of the nature of the swabhava. So the next question. Punya and papa, merit and demerit, to whom does it accrue? To the jiva? Yes, to the jiva who is still in the journey mode. You know what is the journey mode? The jiva travels from body to body. Why does it travel from body to body? Because it has associated itself with the body, mind, intellect. If it disassociates itself with the body, mind, intellect, it will be Brahman. Be careful, be careful. This is Advaita. Jiva, when it dissociates itself with the body, mind, intellect, there is no more birth. Jiva goes from body to body because it associates itself, it identifies itself with the body, mind, intellect. That is called the Jiva in the journey mode. So in that, to that, the merit and demerit accrues. Okay? I hope you are following me. Now the question. So then who has the Ahankara? Does the Ahankara belong to the Jiva or the mind? It is the mind. The mind has the Ahankara. When the Jiva identifies itself with the mind, the Jiva itself becomes Ahankara Vimudhatma, the self bewildered by Ahankara. The self will never be acted upon by something, but it is the Jiva, right, who has identified itself with the body, mind, intellect. Sir, you are repeatedly saying identified itself, identified. What is the meaning of identification with the BMI? It's a question. The thought that I am the BMI. The BMI is meant by, what is meant by I? This thought is the identification with the BMI. This thought is the identification with the BMI.